Thank you so much.
Jai, just Jai. Thank you.
Okay.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to test the sound to see if we can hear online. So,
It's
Hare
wonderful.
Krishna, devotees online. Just before we
Yes.
start the class, I'd just like to check if this mic is working
It's
and if you
perfect.
can hear us.
Yes.
So we wouldn't be able to hear you, but if
Okay,
you could
how
just
can
type
I
a
let you
message
know?
maybe on the chat to let us know if you can
Sure,
hear us.
I'll do that right now. Sound is perfect, Prabhu.
So you can just check on the chat if they can actually hear us.
We can hear you very
Yeah,
clearly,
he can't
Prabhu.
hear us,
Okay,
Kadambini.
they say it's all good, so they can hear us. Yeah, go. Okay, we start again. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodhanandana Vraja Janarandana.
Yashodanandana Rajajanaranja.
Yashodhanandana Vraja Janarandana.
Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Jaya
Ram, Ram Ram.
Gauranika, 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 Jaya Gauranika,
Jai Jai Gauranita, Jai Gauranita, Jai Gauranita.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada.
Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're reading from Canto number 5, Chapter 1, entitled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. And the text is text number 8. So this is a pretty long text, and the meter I don't know so well. So we won't recite it like, call and response. I'll just recite it once, and then we can go into the word for word. Satatra tatra gaganatala udupatir iva vimana valibhir anupatam amara pravidair abhipujamana pati pati cha varutasha siddha gandharva sadhya charanamuni ganair ugay yamano gandha madana dronim avabhashyayan upasasarpa. That's the text. So the translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yo.
Translation. As Lord Brahma descended on his carrier, the great swan, all the residents of the planets named Siddhaloka, Gandharvaloka, Sadyaloka, and Charanaloka, as well as the great sages and demigods, flying in their different airplanes, assembled within the canopy of the sky to receive Lord Brahma and worship him. As he received respect and adoration from the residents of the various planets, Lord Brahma appeared just like the full moon, surrounded by illuminating stars. Lord Brahma's great swan then arrived at the border of Gandha Madana hill and approached Prince Priyavrata, who was sitting there. Purport. It appears from this description that there is regular interplanetary travel between the planets of the demigods. Another significant point is that there is a planet covered mostly by great mountains, one of which is Gandhana Madana hill. Three great personalities, Priyavrata, Narada, and Swayambhuva Manu, were sitting on this hill. According to Brahma Samhita, each universe is filled with different planetary systems, and every system has a unique opulence. For example, on Siddhaloka, all the residents are very advanced in the powers of mystic yoga. They can fly from one planet to another without airplanes or other flying machines. Similarly, the residents of Gandharvaloka are expert in musical science, and those on Sadyaloka are all great saints. The interplanetary system undoubtedly exists, and residents of different planets may go from one to another. On this earth, however, we have not invented any machine that can go directly from one planet to another, although an unsuccessful attempt has been made to go directly to the moon. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamam Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone, and welcome to the Sunday morning Bhagavatam class. So yes, I'll start off by wishing everyone, all the Matajis especially, a happy Mother's Day. And yeah, glad to be in your association this morning. Rem, if you could just log on to the Zoom class, because we wouldn't be able to hear them if there's questions later on and stuff. So, yeah, we'll just... Okay, so yeah, in this verse, to give some context of where we're at in the Bhagavatam, so it's actually towards the beginning of the fifth canto of the Bhagavatam. And this canto starts off where Canto 4 has ended. And the topic at the end of Canto 4 that was discussed is Visarga, which is the secondary creation. So we know that the primary creation is when Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu, is sitting in the Karana ocean or the causal ocean. And while sleeping there, it's explained just by his breathing, through his pores, innumerable universes are emanating from his pores. And that's the first bit of creation within the material creation. So within each universe, you have Mahavishnu that further expands into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's lotus navel sprouts another lotus. And on that lotus, Lord Brahma takes his birth. So the fifth canto is also known as the lotus navel of the Lord. So one reason is because that is the part of the Virat Rupa that's been explained, the creation. And the second reason is that a lot of this section of the Bhagavatam is dealing with the secondary creation and the lotus that stem from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's navel and Brahma being born from that and his secondary creation. So the primary creation is the universes that are emanating from Mahavishnu's pores. And the secondary creation is that Brahma with each universe is now creating and populating that specific universe. So that's where Canto 5 fits into the whole picture. So what we would have seen at the end of Canto 4, very quickly, is that you had the Prachetas, who at one point were convinced by Brahma Ji to basically take rulership of the world, of the universe. And they did so for many, many years. But after that, they retired. And Narad Muni came to explain to them about spiritual life and the path that they should take. So basically, the kingdom did not have any ruler. And actually, their son was Daksha. So this was Daksha's second birth. In his first birth, actually, we recall how the events transpired between him and Lord Shiva. So Daksha had a yagya that was being performed, and he did not respect Lord Shiva. And ultimately, that led to Daksha's fall down. And at the end of that part of the Bhagavatam, he actually repents on his mistake, and he basically becomes, a devotee of the Lord, and realizes that he has to give respect to Lord Shiva. So after he takes on the head of the goat, and after he leaves that body, this is the next birth that he takes as the son of the Prachetas. And he was meant to be the next ruler after the Prachetas of the universe. However, when he was born and he realized his mistakes from his previous life towards Lord Shiva, he actually decided that he doesn't want to become a ruler of the universe. Instead, he wants to practice austerity and penance to overcome the sinful, reactions that he obtained, having, blasphemed Lord Shiva in that way. So essentially, at this point in time, there's no ruler of the universe. So it's a bit of an emergency situation. And what we know is that the Prachetas actually were coming from the dynasty of Maharaj Uttanapad, who was the second son of Swayambhuva Manu, right? So at the early part of the secondary creation of this universe, Brahma had two sons. Brahma had a son who was Swayambhuva Manu, and Swayambhuva Manu had two sons. The elder son was King Priyavrata, who we'll hear about today, and the second son was King Uttanapad. Now, Maharaj Priyavrata, although he was the elder son and he was meant to be the ruler, since he was born practically, he was very, very renounced, and he didn't want anything to do with the material world. Rather, he went to Gandhana Madana Hill and he went to practice bhakti under the tutelage of Narada Muni. So then obviously King Uttanapad, was ruling the universe. And as we heard now, after his dynasty, he had many, many, illustrious leaders in his dynasty, like Dhruva Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj, the Prachetas, and now that the Prachetas left and Daksha is not willing to take over ownership of the, ruling, essentially Swayambhuva Manu was in a very, very tough position. So he had to, so many, many generations has passed, and King Priyavrata is busy, performing bhakti nicely on this Gandhana Madana hill. And now Swayambhuva Manu has to go back to King Priyavrata and ask him to take over the rulership of the universe. So on this hill, we hear how we have very, very illustrious personalities. So we have Narada Muni, who's present there. We have Lord Brahma, who's coming on his swan, and then Swayambhuva Manu, who's also there. So just imagine we have Narada Muni, right? So he's like, in this point of time, we have so many very, very illustrious, gurus and swamis, especially within ISKCON, who travel the world and preach the glories of Krishna to everyone. And they become so, they gain so much of adoration, so much of popularity. It's almost like especially within ISKCON, at least to the devotees, these Maharajas are like celebrities. But the original celebrity guru is actually Narada Muni, right? Because he's traveling throughout the universe and he's preaching, Krishna consciousness, essentially. And practically he's involved in all of the, major pastimes that happen within the Bhagavatam. And he has so many illustrious, wonderful disciples, Vyasadev, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj. And here again, he has another illustrious disciple of Maharaj Priyavrata. So you can imagine, having such a powerful, influential guru, Priyavrata Maharaj is only interested in advancing in spiritual life. So he takes up that route, and now because the universe has no ruler, Swayambhuva Manu has to come and try to persuade Priyavrata to leave, his very comfortable, wonderful position and to take on responsibility of ruling the world, where there's so many challenges, there's so many hardships. And so, Swayambhuva has a very, very hard task at hand. And to help him, Lord Brahma, who is the topmost personality within, each universe, he has to also descend from Satyalok to come and try and persuade King Priyavrata to take up this difficult task. So, so essentially, Brahma, he has to, he takes up such a responsibility on himself to create this universe and to, always have a good succession plan of rulers. So at every time when there's a chaos in the world, Lord Brahma has to descend and try to emergency kind of sort the situation out. So here again, he's doing that. And so if you look at Lord Brahma, he is the secondary creator, like we said. Actually, his body is made fully of intelligence. He's a very, very, high personality, very, very advanced personality. Then we have Swayambhuva Manu, who's the father of mankind, right? So he's one of the first personalities to progenate within this material creation. And then you have Narada Muni, who's, as we mentioned, a celebrity guru in that sense. So there's three very, very advanced personalities that are situated at this point on Gandhana Madana Hill. And they are actually three Mahajans. They're one of the 12 Mahajans, the three of them. So these are very, very illustrious personalities that are all present here. And Priyavrata Maharaj, although he doesn't want to take up this task, in the previous text, it's mentioned that, this task is not very welcome to him. He's not really, wanting to do it. But of course, when the superiors are present and they're giving you an instruction to take on, it is the duty of the disciple to actually take on that instruction. So that's like the first lesson, I guess, we can learn from this text. The second thing is that, if you can imagine the situation that Maharaj Priyavrata, in one sense, from a material perspective, he has nothing, right? He's just basically performing tapasya and bhakti on the hills with no material comforts. And suddenly, an offer has come to him to essentially, take over everything within the universe, to become like the emperor of the universe. So you can imagine if there's, like someone who's a beggar on the street, and then somebody comes to him and offers him millions and millions of dollars, suddenly. Surely that person would immediately grab it with both arms. But here, Priyavrata Maharaj is such an elevated personality that although he's offered so much of wealth, so much of opulence to become the ruler, to have so many palaces, so much of riches, so many maidservants to serve him, he actually is not really interested in taking up this position based on that material opulence. So that's the second lesson we can learn from this, chapter of the Bhagavatam, where advanced devotees or practicing devotees, we should not be very eager to take up material positions, comforts. So in this regard, I recall during the Ramayana, you had Lord Hanuman, who was flying over the ocean towards Lanka. And of course, Hanuman is a very, very exalted devotee of Lord Ram. And it's explained that while he was flying over the ocean, there was actually a personality within the ocean called Menaka, Mount Menaka. So when Varuna, the king or the ruler of the ocean, he heard that Hanuman was coming, a very, very exalted personality, he tried to make some arrangements such that he can, provide some comfort and, rest in place for Hanuman, because this is a massive distance that Hanuman is traveling. So he arranged for Menaka to provide a very nice seating place in the middle of the ocean for Hanuman to come take some rest, so that, the next part of his journey would be more comfortable and he would be well rested to execute, his activities at Lanka. So Menaka basically took on the form of a golden mountain, it's explained. And she came up in the middle of the ocean and she provided a very nice seating arrangement for Hanuman. So Hanuman was going past and he noticed this lovely golden mountain, and it was being offered to him to have rest. But Hanuman, being steadfast in his activities to please Sri Ram, he did not take this comfort or this opportunity to take rest and recover himself in that sense, because he was very, very steadfast. So in this way, we can also try to learn something from this pastime, is that sometimes when you're performing devotional service, you might come across, good material positions, maybe taking up a management position, or maybe you get some good, like adoration from people, or some good material comforts in that way. But we should realize we should not let this affect our goal, which is to become purified in bhakti and basically obtain the love of Krishna. So that's one of the things we can learn from there. We also see the same attitude from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, he was given the instruction by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to print books, okay? And for 40 years, essentially, Prabhupada took that instruction, and you can say it was like incubating within himself, He was meditating on it, how to do it. He tried many, many things for this time. In Jhansi, within India, he actually started up the League of the Devotees, and that didn't really plan out so well. Anyway, in any case, he was staying in Vrindavan, in the Radha Damodar temple, in an extremely, from a spiritual standpoint, he was in a very, very comfortable, a very nice position. He was obviously at a very advanced age, retirement age in that sense, and he didn't have any need to leave that place, because Vrindavan, for the devotees, Vrindavan is like the end goal kind of thing. Everybody would love to, leave the world from Vrindavan. But we see that Prabhupada, he took that instruction and of his Guru Maharaj, and he gave up his comforts from Vrindavan to go to the Western world. And essentially, Prabhupada took that responsibility of his Guru Maharaj very, very seriously. So that's the second lesson that we can learn here, is that taking up responsibility is actually a catalyst for absorption in Krishna consciousness. So, Krishna, obviously we want to become absorbed. All of the activities that we do in devotional life that Prabhupada has so kindly arranged for us, worshiping the deity, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, reading Prabhupada's books, those activities are all to absorb us in thoughts of Krishna. Because at the present moment, we actually are absorbed in me, myself, and I, I know at home, at least, we have the saying, we say, you're an eye specialist, So we're not saying that somebody is like an optometrist as such, but we say the letter I, We all are actually eye specialists. We love to talk about ourselves. We like to please ourselves. We think we put ourselves first, but actually, we have to become absorbed, not in ourselves, but in Krishna. So taking up responsibilities in spiritual life, under the guidance of Guru and Krishna and the advanced devotees, that actually helps us to become more and more absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So Krishna says that in the end of the 9th chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yukti vaivam atmanam mad parayana. So Krishna is saying there, always engage your mind in thinking of me. Offer your obeisances to me and become my devotee. Being absorbed in me, you will surely come to me. So we can see that Krishna is giving this instruction, which is at the end of the most confidential part of the Bhagavad Gita, the 9th chapter. So that's text 934. Again, towards the end of the 18th chapter and the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying an almost similar verse, Manvana bhava mat bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. So it's a very, very same concept. The only thing there, the difference is Krishna is saying, I'm telling you this because you are my very, very dear friend. He's telling to Arjuna. So one can ask that Krishna is giving the same instruction 2 times in the Bhagavad Gita. Did Krishna forget that he said it in the 9th chapter, and then again he repeated himself? That's not really the case. It's because Krishna is just emphasizing that basically to go back home, back to Godhead, we just have to absorb ourselves in always thinking of Krishna, trying in all possibilities to please Krishna. So Prabhupada gave this analogy that Krishna consciousness is so sublime and so easy that you may actually miss it. So, it's very easy to just think about something in one sense. You don't have to do even much. So it's very, very easy, but, obviously we get so much of distractions in this material world that we don't have time or mental capacity to even think about Krishna. So it's so easy in that sense, but it's also so easy that it can be missed. And that's why Krishna is re-emphasizing this in the Bhagavad Gita 2 times, that we should always become absorbed in him. So I mentioned that responsibility is the first, or at least one of the catalysts for absorption. But there are obviously many, many different, activities that we can do. And I guess the prime one, at least within the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, is becoming absorbed through the practice of hearing. So you will see in our tradition, hearing is a very, very big part of our practice. Prabhupada has, given us the Bhagavatam, that we basically have a class every morning and we hear about Krishna, Krishna's names, pastimes, qualities, and his form. Then we have, a Saturday love feast. Again, we're talking from the Bhagavad Gita. Then there's a Chaitanya Charitamrita. And all of these books, essentially, we are able to hear directly from Srila Prabhupada, because this is Prabhupada's words that we basically, when we read, it's like we're literally hearing Srila Prabhupada. So hearing is a very, very big part in our tradition. So it is explained that as devotees, we should have a very, very, be very, very eager to hear about Krishna and his pastimes and his qualities. So there's examples given in the Shastras that, when you have like baby birds or fledglings, nestlings, these tiny baby birds, they basically not doing anything the whole day. But when the mother bird comes with a worm, we see, if you ever watch documentaries from that nest, you'll hear chirping, tweet, tweet, tweet the whole time. And they are so eager to get that worm or that food that they practically champion on top of each other. That's the eagerness that they have to, get something to eat. So it's explained that we should try and develop as devotees this eagerness to hear about Krishna, to hear about his wonderful devotees and his wonderful pastimes. The other example given about hearing is that, you have when there's a paramour, somebody who's, in a marriage, but the lady actually has, another paramour. She has somebody that she actually really loves. So it's explained that a person like that, right, she will continue all her household duties very, very well, so that nobody realizes what's going on. But at that time, while doing all of these activities, her whole mental state is only fixed on her paramour. When will she see this person? When she sees a shoe, she'll be like, he has this similar shoe, or he has this tie, or she'll see something that will remind her of her paramour. And that is the eagerness that she has to hear about the paramour. Maybe if there's a note coming, she will run to the post box to kind of see if the note actually came. She's so eager to hear from this person, so eager to see this person, that she can't help but think about this person 24 hours a day. So that's another example that's given of how we should, all of us in the material world, we have so many responsibilities, so many roles, like parents, mothers, fathers, spouses. We are employees mostly. So all of these roles we have to fulfill it very, very nicely, just like the paramour who's doing all her household activities nicely. But at the same time, we should realize, and we should have this end goal in our head, that our goal is to become lovers of Krishna. We should try to develop that taste, always hear about Krishna, always try and see things and how we can relate that to Krishna. In that way, we will become absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and Krishna's pastimes. So the gopis, they actually exhibit this kind of absorption to the highest degree. You see, when Krishna was in Vrindavan, the gopis was fully absorbed in Krishna. They would, always, being gopis, unmarried girls, they obviously couldn't associate very freely with the gopas in that sense. But they will always look for that opportunity when they can run out of the house and go to associate with Krishna, go to be with him. And they perform so many wonderful activities with Krishna. So Krishna actually spent 11 years in Vrindavan, and those times that he spent there was obviously, very, very special to the gopis, and very, very, they treasured it. But then Krishna left, and he actually went to Mathura. As we know, he, basically fought Kamsa, and then after that he progressed to become like the king of Dwarka Desh. And he took on so many, queens in that sense, 16,100 queens he had. And he became such an opulent king in that respect. But the gopis, even though Krishna, in that sense, kind of changed from being, just a natural cowherd boy, a very simple person, to becoming, this illustrious king, their love for him did not change in the least bit. And it's explained that the next time that the gopis actually saw Krishna was 114 years later. So Krishna was 11 when he left Vrindavan, and at the time when he was at Kurukshetra as Dwarkadish and the king, that's the next time that the gopis actually saw Krishna. That was 114 years later. So can you imagine 114 years that these gopis were so absorbed in Krishna, thinking of him, thinking of all of the pastimes and the lovely activities that they had with Krishna, Krishna being so mischievous, stealing butter, collecting tax from all of the gopis, and doing so many, in that sense, things to annoy the gopis. But the gopis, they were just so enamored by Krishna that even though he was gone for 114 years, they couldn't help but think of Krishna all of the time. We hear of how Radharani, even she sees like a bumblebee, and because the bumblebee is black in complexion or darkish in complexion, she thinks that's Krishna and she starts talking to this bumblebee. That's how absorbed she's in Krishna. So 114 years has passed. They're still thinking of Krishna all of the time. And in that sense, they're talking about Krishna's pastimes. They're thinking about what Krishna would say. And there's a very, very lovely part in the Bhagavatam that's called the Gopi Geet, where the gopis are talking amongst themselves about Krishna's pastimes. So I'll just recite that one of that verses, and we can talk about it. And if you know it, you can also join in as well. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavir viridhitam kalmashapaham Shravana Mangalam Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Bhuvi Krinantiye Bhuridha Jana. So here we have the gopis. They are saying Tava Katha Amritam. So they're saying that Krishna, your words are like nectar. Okay? Tava Katha Amritam, so that's nectar. Tapta Jivanam, so that's Krishna is actually, his words, the nectar of his words are the life and the soul of the devotees. Tava Katha Amritam Tapta Jivanam. Kavi Bir Iditam, so his words are basically, the poets are spreading his words all over the creation. And the people who are doing this are actually said to be the most munificent people because they're spreading his words all over, just like Srila Prabhupada, who spread Krishna's words all over the world. Within 12 years, Prabhupada, he created 108 temples. You know, he created the Hare Krishna word as something that everybody practically, you know, in every town and village, it's been mentioned. So in this way, the gopis have made Krishna's words and his activities, his pastimes, their life and soul. So in that way, we can try to also have this mood of always thinking about Krishna's pastimes, hearing about his pastimes, and trying to become, you know, making that our life and soul. So His Holiness Keshava Swami Maharaj, he mentions that, you know, when we read the Bhagavatam, so it can be done on many, many levels, you know. We can read the verse and read maybe a little bit, and then we close the book. So when we close the book, you know, is the Bhagavatam then kind of finished? That's one level, you know, we just read, at that time we get absorbed, and then we stop. So that's like likened to a point, you know, when we're reading, we can become so absorbed, think about all these lovely lessons, all of these activities and these pastimes, and we can be transported into the world of the Bhagavatam. But then sometimes when we close the book, it's all over. We forget about it, the day begins, and you're back into the material world, and you forget totally about the Bhagavatam until the next day, or until the next time you open the Bhagavatam. So, Dhritarashtra Maharaj, he mentioned actually something very similar in this regard. So, he was obviously at the time with the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and Krishna was personally present at that time. And Krishna would give so much of good advice, being the mediator between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Krishna would go many times to Dhritarashtra and try to, make a peace deal with him and give him so much of good advice. But Dhritarashtra, he would actually say this here, that when Krishna is present before him and speaking, it's almost like everything is illuminated. He can see everything very, very clearly. And he gives the example that, when you're at night and it's very, very dark, suddenly there's a lightning strike. And that's, for a moment, the entire, area is fully lit up. So Dhritarashtra actually says that when Krishna is speaking to him and present before him, it seems like it's a lightning that's present. Krishna is illuminating everything in front of him. But again, just like when the lightning is finished, darkness again prevails and you don't see anything. So that's what Dhritarashtra is saying, that when Krishna is present before him, everything is lit up, but then when Krishna leaves, then everything becomes dark again. So similarly, when we open the Bhagavatam and we're reading, on one level, when we close the Bhagavatam, everything can become dark again. So that's the first level. The second level is, we read the Bhagavatam, we become fully absorbed, we learn all of these nice lessons, and we try to practically apply it in our life. That's the second level. And then we close the book, but we try to practice these lessons. But the third level, so this is the highest level, is that when we open the Bhagavatam, we get immersed in this world of the Bhagavatam. But when we close the Bhagavatam, we should still try and be absorbed in this world of the Bhagavatam. That's what Keshava Swami Maharaj says, is that instead of just taking the lessons and trying to implement it in our life, we have to actually try to continuously see and practice. It's a practice that has to happen to try and take this world and actually put it here in front of us and try to live in the Bhagavatam throughout your daily life. So that is a very, very high position. But the point is, the only way we can get there is that if we immerse ourselves in actually reading these wonderful books that Prabhupada has given us. So I guess to maybe wrap up in that point is there's another beautiful verse towards in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, Shushrusho Shradadannasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. So that verse is saying that to get the taste of hearing, about Krishna, to hear from the Bhagavatam, we have to serve the great Vaishnavas and the Guru. So in that way, it ties to that first point that we said about how responsibility in spiritual life is one catalyst for absorption. And here we see again, it's a circle, right? So the more we serve the Vaishnavas, the more we will develop a taste to hear about Krishna. The more we hear about Krishna, the more we become absorbed in Krishna and Krishna's pastimes. So in summary, just some of the points I guess we can take away is, firstly, responsibility is one of the catalysts of absorption. The second one is to read Prabhupada's books, to hear from the Vaishnavas, to discuss about Krishna. And then the next point is that we have to become very, very eager to hear about the pastimes of Krishna, just like how the little birds are very eager to eat the worm, and the paramour, how she's very, very eager to hear about her lover and to basically meet with him. So that's the eagerness we have to develop. In terms of some of the other points from the purports, so Prabhupada is talking about interplanetary travel, and he's saying that this is something that's constantly happening. And he also mentions about, an unsuccessful attempt at the moon. So that's very, at least for me, I recall, at one point I would think like, did they actually go to the moon or not? And Prabhupada mentions, some places here, like here he says that the moon landing was actually not something that actually happened. But there were other times where he said that even if it did happen, that, they actually just came back. If they went there, they just spent some time and they came back. So what's the point in that sense? So, someone may ask, did Prabhupada actually know that if they went to the moon or not? Or maybe he's not so scientific, so he doesn't really know they actually went to the moon and they created these wonderful spaceships and they can do all of these, wonderful things. They might have a doubt. But the point here is that Prabhupada, his mission was not to expose any controversies about whether the people actually went to the moon or not. His mission in the Bhagavatam is to basically give Krishna to everyone. So in that sense, whether we might hear Prabhupada at some point says, they didn't go to the moon. We shouldn't become like, but they actually went to the moon. Now we see that they actually went to the moon. But the point is, Prabhupada wasn't so interested in that point, So that's one of the things. The other thing is talking about, when you read something like this, you might have certain doubts. Like, is Prabhupada, or maybe something about the philosophy. So again, His Holiness Keshava Swami Maharaj, he says there's 3 ways to deal with doubts. So the first one is to discuss. If we have doubts, we should discuss it with advanced devotees, not just anybody. We have to, see who's qualified to actually give us good advice, because we don't want to be in a situation where, maybe you hear that this devotee, he did something that's against the regulative principles. Now, we shouldn't say that's a doubt. We now need to go discuss it with the other devotees and be like, hey, this person did this. That's not the point. The point is that if we have a doubt, even if we do have a doubt like that, we shouldn't make it a gossip, We should try to approach someone senior or the person themselves and discuss it. So that's the first point. When we have a doubt, we discuss it. Because if we don't discuss our doubts, these doubts can fester in our subconsciousness, and these doubts will actually become very, very big obstacles within our advancement in devotional service. So that's the first thing, to discuss our doubts. The next thing is to discuss. Delay, yes, thank you. So the next thing we can do for the doubts is to delay it. So sometimes we might have a doubt, right? Especially us practicing devotees, we are not fully realized, especially myself. But we might come across a doubt in the scripture or the philosophy. So we should not let some doubt limit us, because what can happen is later on you might read something else that actually clears up the doubts. Or you might be sitting in a class years later and someone will say something and you'll be like, now I understand. I can reconcile that doubt and it's not affecting me so much. So the point is that we can try and delay these doubts. So we're not saying to bury it and to not worry about it, but just delay it. We can just be patient and we can tell ourselves, okay, we don't know the answers, all of it just yet, but if we just continue practicing nicely, at some point, these doubts will become cleared and we will understand things very, very clearly. And then the third thing is we can downplay doubts. So if we just talk about the example where maybe a very nice devotee actually did something against the principles. So in that sense, even if that might turn out to be true, unfortunately, we are all human. We have these defects and, we all have vices. We might end up doing something we don't actually want to do. But the point is that as someone who's observing this, we can still downplay that situation or downplay that doubt and not take it so seriously, even if it did actually happen. Because we don't want those things to affect our advancement in bhakti. So when we come across a doubt, we can either discuss it, we can delay it, or we can downplay it. So yeah, that's all I have to discuss at this point. So if there's any questions or comments or any bills or clarifications, please feel free to ask now. For those of you online, we won't actually be able to hear you because of the way it's set up. Maybe you can actually, okay, but Okay, maybe you can type your questions in the chat if there's any, and you can see it if you join that Zoom class. Yeah? I'll just try to unplug this here. Able to get the voice.
Haribol Prabhuji, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Jamuna.
Yeah, I know.
Glories.
Haribol, you can hear us, Subal Maharaj, Das.
Hare Krishna. Can you just say something online, please, so we can just
Hare
hear?
Krishna, Haribol. Haribol Prabhuji.
Yes,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Jai Haribol. You can hear us?
Yeah, we can. We can hear you now.
Perfect. Perfect. Go ahead. Please attend to the devotees in the room and we'll ask our questions.
Is there any questions or comments in the room here? If not, we'll go to the online. Okay. Nothing from the temple room, Mataji.
Oh, Haribol Prabhuji, thank you so much for class. That was really very nice. And I really wanted to pick up on your point around responsibility being the catalyst for absorption. That struck quite deeply with me, Prabhuji, because interestingly enough, this idea of responsibility, we can have such emotional reactions to such a word like responsibility. I have always dreaded responsibility, actually. I've always thought, oh, I don't want to be responsible for this, and I don't want to be responsible for that. And yet, here's the thing, and yet, you can't live your life without it. I've been a responsible wife, I've been a responsible mother, I've been a responsible social work practitioner. You know, so many responsibilities are there. But when it comes to Krishna consciousness and understanding the application of our responsibility toward Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as you so rightly say today, and it being the catalyst for us to be able to go deeper, to deeply absorb the nectar that's actually contained within Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that's really deep, Prabhuji, and that struck a chord with me today. So I just wanted to thank you for that, because I'm going to have to go back now and reinterpret my resistance to this idea of responsibility, even though I've had to have a quite responsible life. So now I want to have a look at this idea of being responsible toward Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and understanding how that can really propel my Krishna consciousness if I let it. So yeah, thank you, Prabhu. It was very deep, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else online?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Vanmali Krishna to speaking. The last verse you said, Manmana bhava mad bhakta madaji manusuru mamaveshi satyam te priyasime. There is a verse following that, and that is Sarvadharman paritiji mamekam vajam vajam sum papaviyo moksheshami mashura. So we are meant to be doing that. While we are serving a responsibility, I feel what we can do is say that we are seeing Krishna in everyone's heart while we are serving them. And in fact, this is what we are learning from the Bhakti Yoga of Narad Muni as well. We are able to see Krishna in everyone. Just like when we are having prasadam, we can think that we are feeding the Krishna who is situated in the heart of the person who is eating the prasadam. So that is manmana bhava padvakta madaji mamnaskuru mamaveshi amsari asadatam te priyasime. So that would be I thought that is what we must be doing. So when we recite the Prasad Sevya Prasad Sevya prayer, it is there in that Roshadam Yet karoshi yad asnasi, asnasi. Whatever you eat, you offer it to me. So
Yes,
I thought that might be worthwhile remembering.
that's
Thank you very
good.
much, Prabhuji. Very, very, very good, beautiful talk which you have given us. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Prabhu.
much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I don't have any question, but I just wanted to, I was highly appreciative of you explaining the introduction and also giving such a beautiful class on Bhagavatam. You are an inspiration for all our youngsters. So please, Prabhuji, continue serving and approach more to the youngsters so that they get inspired by you. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Prabhupada.
Jai.
Is there anything else online?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Prabhu. Nice
Hare
class,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
I'm talking from the kitchen, Prabhu. The consciousness start from the prasadam. Please have prasadam, everyone, in the temple room. Prasadam is ready for
Hari
you guys.
Bol.
Thank you
Hari
so much, Prabhu.
Bol.
Send through online also,
Online.
Prabhuji.
Yes.
We'll send
There
some
has
pictures, Mataji.
there has
I
to
will
be some
post some pictures, Mataji. I can't do more than that.
that will be advanced technology, sending prasad through Zoom.
Yes.
Somebody has to work on that.
Okay, Mataji. We will do next time, Mataji. I will come to your home, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Subal Prabhuji.
Hare
Very
Hare
nice
Krishna.
class.
Thank you
Nice
so
to
much.
see you giving Bhagavatam, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. And as Arundhati also said, that, all these youngster, they should be trying to, give classes, because giving classes give you so much of it's just like when people were distributing books early times during Prabhupada, and a person will ask, what is in this book, have you read that? And they never read those books they were distributing. So it is very important, and that we must read the books which we are distributing. So by distributing books, we are able to also read that, and when reading that, then we can put it into practice. It's really sad that we have so many people who has been registered in this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam group, and at the most we will have maybe 12, 13, 14, or if there is a visiting sannyasi, we might have 20 or maybe interstate. So it's really sad that we have this facility of Zoom, and still not many people. So we should really try to encourage, if anybody knows those people who are in this Bhagavatam group, to tell them to, at least if they are working and they can't do it in the weekdays, they should be able to do in the weekends at least. So we are very fortunate that we are able to attend this, especially for myself, when I'm not able to come to the temple, so I can hear the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Thank you very much, all the devotees, for their service and giving us this. And that's the greatest service. Giving Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class is the greatest service the devotees are doing. Thank you very much again, Prabhuji, for giving such a beautiful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
thank you for doing one more thing, and that is opening up the Zoom by unmuting. Then we can have a talk with the speaker of Bhagavatam. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Hare
And Prabhuji, I would just like to point out on something very small. I don't know whether I should say it here or not, but you quoted one example of gopis, that gopis, Lord Krishna left Vrindavan at the age of 11, and after that he met gopis at the age of 114 in Kurukshetra. Even I was, all this time I used to think that, but some of our acharyas, Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, if you read their books, they have said that Lord Krishna comes once to console all the Brijvasis and Srimati Radharani and all the gopis. And then
Okay.
after that, he never came.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, that with pranams.
Hare
Actually,
Can I just say,
Mataji, Krishna never left Vrindavan.
Yeah, that
That's
is
all.
in the tattva form, Mataji. But actually, physically, I was talking about that physically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. But as I said, he
Well,
never left. He's still
Yeah.
in Vrindavan.
there is
He
one more
comes
thing.
there and be there.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I just say something about that? He was dreaming about gopis, and in the dream he used to cry, whinge about, and Rukmini used to mention, why is he doing all these things, really?
Yes, yes.
And he was worried, no? So he
Yes.
never leaves gopis alone. At least even in dreams, he was dreaming about them.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very, very much for this consciousness about the devotees.
Thank you so much, everyone, online devotees. Thank you very much. And I think at that point we'll end. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Grace Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
His Grace
Jai.
Subal Prabhuji.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.
Hare Hare Bo.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the devotees.
All
Hare
glories to
Krishna.
assembled
Krishna.
devotees.
All glory to the speaker.